What's going on, everybody? I'm going to talk WNBA basketball. And while I don't typically do things like this, I'm going to do a mock draft because a lot of people have asked me for what mine would be. I'm only going to do the first round, and I'm only basing it on the 16 players that have been invited to the WNBA draft tomorrow night. And that's how I'm rolling because, quite frankly, drafts do not excite me. It doesn't excite me in the NBA. It does not excite me in football. I just don't really care when it comes to these drafts. But y'all want my opinion, so I'm happy to give it to you. And I'm going to break it down my way. And let me know what you think. And I'm going to break it down from a different vantage point, whereas others just pretty much go with what they see on other boards. I'm going to go with based on what I think that team needs and what would benefit that team now and in the future, but even more than anything now. So understand my perspective of it. My draft will probably not match most drafts you look at. I think you have a pretty decent idea of the first few picks, but after that, it's just a matter of opinion and fit. Because I think when it comes down to drafting, a fit is a major part of it. You have to fit what a team is trying to do. And this 2025 WNBA draft, for lack of better words, it stinks. It's not a good draft. It's definitely not a deep draft. You probably don't know players after the first few. I've looked at mock drafts that go 38 deep all the way to through 3 rounds, and I'm like, oh my God, come on. These players won't even be in the league. They should just have a 2 round draft like the NBA, because otherwise, I don't see the purpose of this 3 round draft thing. I really don't. The NBA does 2 rounds. I think you're good right there. I guess they can do three because they only have 13 teams still, but I'm not a third round. When you look at some of the players on it, heck, some of the players that are projected to go in the first round are not anything special. But let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant. Her game, her way, women's basketball. We talk facts over feelings here. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Shomont, and we're going to jump right in on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down each of the players that is in on the invitation list to the WNBA draft, because they're obviously expected to be drafted high up on the board. And then after I do that, then I'm going to give you my order of draft. So you need to stick around. You can't just watch the first 4 or 5 minutes and then think I'm going to drop the draft for you. No, it's not going to work that way. And if you like the shirt I'm wearing, this is Scheduling Conflict, Caitlin Clark's Scheduling Conflict. You find on the merch shop. Appreciate y'all. Now, the funny thing about this draft is that it's pretty much 3 teams drafting. it's an interesting dynamic here because Washington has 3 picks, Connecticut has 2 picks, and Dallas has 2 picks. Dallas has the 1 and the 12. Washington has 3, 4, and 6. Connecticut has 7 and 8. And then also the LA Sparks, Chicago Sky, Minnesota Lynx, and Seattle Storm and Golden State Valkyries also have a pick. The Las Vegas Aces forfeited their pick, so they don't have a pick because of their situation with Becky Hammon and their whatever the hell went on there. But that's another story for another day. So to me, it's one of those things where Washington especially can vastly improve its team. They can make a big step in the right direction by drafting the right players who fit what they are trying to do, whatever that might be. Because I don't know what they're trying to do. I think they're all trying to win, but you don't know what direction they want to go. So I'm going to break it down also based on direction. With Washington, for example, 3, and 4 are interchangeable. For Connecticut, 7 and 8 are interchangeable unless they decide to trade, which maybe they do. But Washington, especially with 3, 4, and 6, I mean, those are largely all interchangeable. They can be in any order realistically, unless they're looking to make a trade. So we're going to start off with the most obvious of anything, the overall number one pick. So I'm going to get this out the way. Paige Bueckers will be drafted number one unless some act of God occurs. She is the best player in this class. She is coming off of a national championship. If there had been other players that had declared, then there might be a conversation. But without Lauren Betts in this class and her deciding to stay at UCLA, the clear pick at number one is Paige Bueckers. I don't care if she has made any comments about whether or not she wants to play in Dallas or not. Couldn't give a shit. Paige Bueckers is the number one pick in the draft. She averaged 20 a game, 4.4 boards, 4.6 assists. She's the most efficient player in the country this year, 53.4% shooting, has a deadly mid-range game, has developed some range. She's not in that parking lot range yet, but she is getting some better range on her three. She shot almost 42% from three. As you know, she is a fifth-year player. Did have a bad knee injury. She does have a propensity to have injuries. So the question about Paige Bueckers more than anything is health. Now, do I see her being the type of player that can change a franchise? I think she can be very, very good. I think she can be the best player on a team. Do I think she's the best player on a championship team in the WNBA? Not necessarily, because she doesn't have that oh my God it factor to her when it comes to playing. At UConn, it's one thing. These are the best players here in the world. And these teams are obviously fairly even in design. So as even as you can get, as they are pros. But when it comes to Paige Bueckers, Paige, I think she can fit in anything, in my opinion. She has that ability because she doesn't need the ball to be successful. She's not a facilitator of the offense. She's more of a combo guard than a point guard. She does well off of screens, coming off screen action in the mid-range game. I do think she can be successful. Health is going to be a critical component to Paige Bueckers in the WNBA. So that's why I'm obviously going at number one. I think it's clear she has the most complete game of anyone in this draft, and it's not close. Like I said, this draft is weak. It is thin. It is not a good draft. When I name some of these players and go over some of these players' numbers and just talk about them, you're going to be like, how the hell is this a player that can be drafted in the first round? That's where we are in the WNBA, and that's why so many times I stress I stress comments about this is reality. The league is still void of talent, and Paige Bueckers is incredibly talented. She is the most talented player in this draft. She's the only player in this draft, in my opinion, that barring injury will have a lengthy WNBA career. The rest of them, I'm not so sure. But she is the one that will have a lengthy WNBA career, presuming health. If she gets hurt, she gets hurt. I can't predict that. But if she's healthy, she can have a lengthy 10, 12, 15-year WNBA career. Those are my thoughts on Paige Bueckers. Now let's go into Hailey Van Lith. Hailey Van Lith had a great year this year at TCU. Her staying for a fifth year of school was absolutely the right choice for her, because if she had turned pro last year after that debacle of a season at LSU, she probably wouldn't be playing professional basketball anywhere in the world. I mean, maybe overseas, but not. She'd be out of the picture. There would not be much conversation as far as Hailey Van Lith is concerned. Hailey Van Lith has now made herself a first-round prospect. Is there a guarantee she goes in the first round? No. But she has made herself a very given herself a really good opportunity to be a first round pick. If she came out next year, the year after, or whatever, in future classes, she's obviously couldn't. But if she could, I don't think that her stock. I think her stock would be lower. If she came out last year, her stock would have been in the toilet. Van Lith showed leadership this year at TCU. She's 5'9". That's the one concern I have for Van Lith. She's a 5'9" two guard. Has she improved in her point skills? She did. She finished this year 17.9 points, 5.4 assists, 4.6 rebounds. She did improve her efficiency a great deal. She shot 45.2% from the field and 33.8 from three. Like I mentioned, she's a 5'9" guard. She's a little small if she's going to be playing the 2 guard. She has to fall in line in that Kelsey Plum mold. I do think Kelsey Plum is someone that she could probably mold her game after. If Hailey Van Lith can jump her 3-point shooting up to about 38%, I think she can have a lengthier career in the WNBA. She is a bulldog. She's a pit bull. She plays hard, man. And she has a really nice mid-range stroke. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Hailey Van Lith. Last year, not so much. I was highly impressed with what she managed to do, with what she did this year at TCU. So she is a player to watch. But those are my comments on Hailey Van Lith. Now, Serena Sundell out of Kansas State. She is a 4-year player at a Kansas State. She did not go somewhere for a 5th year, even though she could have. She played 4 years at Kansas State. She averaged 14.1 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 7.3 assists this year. She led the country in assists. She led the country in assists this year and led the conference last year in assists. She shoots over 50% from the field. She's at 50.1%. 3-point shooting, 32%, not all that great. Serena Sundell's big. She's a 6'2" point guard. I think that's a huge difference maker when it comes to someone at point who's 6'2". She's a big point guard. And that is gonna be very attractive to some teams out there. It'll be attractive to me as you know, if I was coaching her or looking for a big point. I mean, you'd rather have a bigger point than a smaller point, but she did lead Kansas State into the Sweet 16 before they lost to USC. Uh, she is a player to watch, but that size and that ability to get people involved, 7.3 assists per game, definitely a player to watch out for. Georgia Amoore out of Kentucky is a player that I have questions about. I do have a lot of questions about her. She's 5'6", number one. She's really small. 5'6" is 5'6", man, bro. This is the WNBA. This is not a kids league. Height matters. Height matters. It does. It's basketball. Like, we have to stop, bullshitting around here and act like your height doesn't make a difference. She is a point guard. She's a volume shooter. She played for Vatek for 4 years, and then she transferred to Kentucky for a 5th. So she is a 5th-year player. Averaged 19.6, 2.3 rebounds, and 6.9 assists. She led the SEC in assists this year. Last year, she led the ACC in assists in her senior year. She shoots 42%, 33.6 from 3, which is not good enough for someone at 5'6", 84% from the line. Obviously, she has done everything she can with her height at 5'6". That is a massive concern for a team drafting. The best thing for her is that she does have the ability to get her teammates involved, and she's a point guard. She will not average 19.6 points per game in the WNBA. Like, you can chop that out. You could probably cut that in half if she gets to if she lasts in the WNBA. Her best attribute is passing. And if she can get players involved, she can actually make something of herself. But at 5'6", man, it is hard. You have to really consider the fact that, if you think of guards in the WNBA, like Courtney Vance was 5'8", and she shoots better from 3 and shot better from 3 for most of her career. Courtney Williams is 5'8". Courtney Williams is lightning fast. So when you're that height, you got to be special, and don't know if she's that, but we'll see. Now let's look at Sarah Ashley Barker out of Georgia and Alabama. She went to Georgia first, then over to Alabama for 2 years. Interesting, you don't usually go from Georgia to Bama or Bama to Georgia in football. I mean, it happens. Big time rivals in the SEC. Barker, if you wanted to go out with a bang, Barker hit it on the nail. She went for 45 points in the second round against Maryland. They lost the game in double overtime, but she went for 45, had an absolutely monster game. This year, she averaged 18.2, 6.3, and 3.9. She's a 6-foot guard, shot 51.4%, 37.5% from 3. Type of player that could actually be a good role player in the WNBA. That ability to shoot from the perimeter, her efficiency is really important. Don't know if haven't seen a ton of her, but questions are always going to be defensively. But if you go out with 45, that means you can put the ball in the hole. And she did have a game earlier in the season with 36, so she does have the ability to score the ball and hit from the perimeter. And if you can do that, if you can hit from the perimeter, I mean, it's one thing that WNBA is gonna have to really starting to look at, and players are starting to shoot from deeper. The Caitlin Clark effect is real. I know people don't want to believe it, but it has an impact across the league and across college basketball as players are shooting the ball from deeper and deeper. So watch out for Sarah Ashley Barker. She could make a splash. She could be someone that can last just based on shooting the ball from the perimeter. Sonia Citron, my God, Sonia Citron. This is a player that Indiana Fevers were in love with when they thought that she was going to end up being could be drafted by the Indiana Fever. Fact of the matter is, Sonia Citron is 6'1" guard, small forward, averaged 14.1 points, 5.4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, shot 48.4% from the field, 37.2 for three, and 89% from the free throw line. 4-year player at Notre Dame. By the end of the year, she and Hannah Hidalgo were not on the same page. They did not care for each other, I was told. A little birdie told me that they did not care for each other at all. And think about Citron. Citron regressed from her junior to senior. She regressed. She absolutely regressed. Her numbers went down. Scoring went down from 17 to 14. When it comes to Citron, I've watched her play a number of times. I have never been all that incredibly impressed with her play. And I think this is an example of why this draft is so damn thin, because she's probably going to be a top 4 pick. And whether I think she should be a top 4 pick, she's more than likely going to be a top 4 pick. And if you're telling me that this player is a top 4 pick, then I have a problem. Then that tells me all I need to know about this draft. Drafting players, I'm not drafting a player that can be a fucking role player. Like this whole concept of a first round draft pick and only being 12 players. This isn't the NBA. You draft the guy number 27, like he's still a likely role player. You draft him in the top 12. Those are guys that you're drafting to change your franchise in the NBA. And I don't see that there should be any difference in the WNBA, but there is, because there's a void of talent. She's just a void of talent. There is not a lot of real talent. There are players and then there are players, and she's just a player. She's a decent player. She's a good she's a good college player. Is she a star college player? No. If you're not a star college player, like, I'll give you an example. Some of these players I mentioned before, Amoore was the best player on her team. Barker, best player on her team. Sundell, probably the best player on her team. Citron, Van Lith, best player on her team. Paige, best player on her team. Sonia Citron was the 3rd best player on her team, behind Hannah Hidalgo and Olivia Miles. So it's a lot easier to be a 48.4% shooter and 37.2 from three when you're not guarded, when they create open looks for you. And that's where I have a problem. That's where I'm conflicted about a player like this. Who the hell drafts in the top 4, the 3rd best player on someone's team? It just doesn't sit well with me. And it's going to happen, more than likely. Would I take her in the top 3, top 4? No, I wouldn't. I would rather have a dynamic player that could be a franchise changer. And again, I don't know that there are any franchise changers in this draft, but yeah, she's definitely not one. So I know I'm harsh on her, and people were getting on me. I don't think she's the player you think she's a role player. Could she be a long-time WNBA role player? Yeah. Is she better than Lexi Hull? Yeah. But Lexi Hull stands in the corner and waits for the ball to show up. And 2 years before, she shot 21% from three. Caitlin Clark shows up in the building. She shoots 47% from three because she's wide open all the time. The right situation for Citron could be great, but you're not usually getting the right situation in the top 5. Do I think she could be a successful player playing with Indiana? Yeah, because I think she does take on that Lexi Hull type of role. And she's actually just better than Hull. But Hull's a role player. So you're just a better role player. Those are my thoughts. Another example of where it gets funky with this draft. Again, Sania Feagin was invited to the draft. Bro, obviously these people are invited because of conversations with teams to determine who is who and who you're probably going to be looking at. Sania Feagin is going to get drafted. I mean, it's crazy as it sounds. She's going to be a first round pick more than likely. 6'3", 8.1 points, 4.5 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 60% from the field, 33% from three, 80% from the line, a 1-year starter, 4-year player at South Carolina. I mean, this is crazy. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. She was the 5th best starter, or she was a starter. Yeah, she was the 5th best starter. That's maybe the 4th, because I have voiced my feelings on Raven Johnson. Maybe the 4th, but probably to most people, the 5th best starter on this team, on that South Carolina team. And yet you're going to draft her in the first round. What the hell's going on? The fact that she's even in a conversation of being drafted. Can you imagine a guy, a 4-year player in college that averages 8 points per game and 4.5 boards being even considered to be drafted in the NBA? Like, you wouldn't even consider it. A 4-year player. You might consider it on a freshman. You would not consider it on a 4-year player. I think Fagan should have gone back to school. I really do. I think she should have gone back to school. To me, this was a mistake. Whether she could have stayed at South Carolina or would have been forced into a grad transfer situation, she should have gone back to school. That's just my feeling, and showed that she can actually. I don't know, man. I'm just not impressed. Watched her like she's basic, bro, and yet this might be a first round pick. Probably will be a first round pick. Now we look at Kiki Iriafen out of USC. Kiki Iriafen helped lead the Trojans to the Elite Eight before they got beaten by UConn. Kiki Iriafen transferred from Stanford over to SoCal, to Southern Cal, for her senior year. She's a 4-year player. Again, a player that probably could have actually gone somewhere else for a 5th year if she wanted to. I don't think there's any more that she can get out of college. I don't think her ceiling is all that high. She's probably she's more than likely a top 5 pick. She averaged 18 points on 49% shooting. She shot 28.6 from three. She's not a 3-point shooter. She's a interior player. 8.4 rebounds, 1.8 assists. Not much of a shot blocker. Was a 3rd-team All-American and was projected first team at the beginning of the season, preseason first-team All-American. I think that she went to the wrong situation at Southern Cal to play with Juju Watkins. I just don't think that was the best match for her and for her skill set. It's weird. She's had 2 years of being really, really good in terms of being a full-time starter. When it mattered the most, she disappeared. Like that Elite Eight game against UConn, she was horrible. She was horrible. And I don't see Kiki Iriafen as more than a role player in the WNBA. Again, another example. At least in this case, she's the 2nd best player on this team, on the USC team, but I don't see her as more than a role player in the WNBA. This draft, like I keep saying, it's nothing to brag home about. I mean, the players that decide to go back to school, I would tell you right now that if those players had all come out, they would probably be the first 5 of the first 6 picks of the draft. It was like if you had Betts and Flage and Latson come out, like they're easily 3 of the first 4 picks. And then Miles, yeah. So I mean, you're looking at 4 of the first 5 picks easily would have been players that decided to stay in school. But yeah, AZ Fudd, really, really. I think she was her earlier mock draft status was lower. I tell you right now, if AZ Fudd had come out this year, I think AZ Fudd is the most besides Paige. I think AZ Fudd is the most ready to play player that would have been in this draft, like ready to get on the court and make an impact because she has a sweet stroke and she could flat out shoot the ball. And yeah, So I think this draft is hella thin. But those are my thoughts on Iriafen. Aziaha James, man. Aziaha James, if she was 6 foot tall, oh my God, she'd be a top 4 pick. If she was 6 foot tall, this is where I go back to height. That he get buckets. If you ever seen that Big Jaw comedy thing, uh, she's 5'8" and he get not height, but she's 5'8", man, and that's a problem. It's the same problem that Hailey Van Lith has, the same problem that Georgia Amoore has, with the exception that Aziaha James is a shooting guard. She's a scoring guard. She's not a point guard. She averaged 2.6 assists. Like that's not a point guard. You're 5'8", bro. You got to be more than you got to be you got to be playing the point. And her career is 2.2 assists. Last 2 years, she's been very, very good. She's averaged about 17 and a half points between 2 seasons. This year, she averaged 17.9, 4.9 boards, and 2.6 assists on 44.5% shooting, 33 and a third from three, 75% from the line. She's a 4-year player. Yeah, God, her height, man, this is a player that could be a player. Excuse me. This is a player that that if she was 3 inches, 4 inches taller, would be serious. Or if she played point. And that's the thing. Like she's a bucket getter. She can go get a bucket. She's at a quick step. She's developing a 3-point shot. It's still not the greatest. But she has the ability to score on. She's a scorer and she drives to the hoop well. And she has to develop that three because she is so small. That's my concern. She's just small. If she was 6 foot tall, she's a top 4 pick. Like when I talk about players, I want a player that can make an impact immediately. She's the type of player that has that ability to make an impact immediately, especially for a high drafting team. And I tell you right now, I will say this: I am thinking about what I would do if I was the Washington Mystics. You got 3 picks. They're not going to do it because these teams don't think out of the box. They don't think outside the box. Like you could trade down and get her if you're the Mystics. Will they? We'll see. People call Satu Sabali the unicorn. This is the unicorn of the draft. This is the player that you have no idea where she's going to end up. Dominique Malonga, she's 19. She's slim. But she plays overseas in France. I'm just people have been trying to feed us the ball of shit that these players in Europe are so tough and they're so physical and the whole nine. Yet every time a WNBA player, an American WNBA player, goes and plays overseas, they absolutely dominate. They dominate. Whether it's Kennedy Carter, Kelsey Mitchell, Camila Cardoso, hell, Brianna Turner was putting up buckets in overseas, and she scored 1 point per game this past season in WNBA. Like you gotta. Diana Taurasi was the MVP how many times of the Russian league? These players were dominant overseas. WNBA players have long been dominant. So when they would come up with these arguments about Caitlin Clark and the physicality, international play, blah, 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 I was laughing at it because every time an American goes over there to play basketball, they whoop their ass. They whoop their ass. Like they're more physical than them. And so when they talk about the physicality, Dominique Malonga is a 6'6", 19-year-old. Now, apparently she says she's coming to play this year. She's not a stash pick. So if she's not a stash pick, yeah, she's probably going to go number 2. And why? Because she'll have an opportunity to learn to be taught by the likes of Nneka Ogwumike. And she's whether it's the France BWL, she averaged 15.4 in the Euro Club with her team Lyon. She averaged 18.5. She has some big stat stuffing numbers, big rebounding totals. But here's the problem. These players over there aren't that good, in my opinion. I watched film on this stuff. It just wasn't impressive in terms of she's going against who? Like who? I'm just looking at the rebounding games 13, 11, 7, 10, 3, 6, 11, 11, 9, 6, 13, 8, 13, 7, 17, 6, 10, 19, 10, 15, 13, 9. She's 6'6". She's grabbing rebounds and she's doing her job. Um, some great scoring performances. I mean, typically always in double digits. Again, yeah, she's 19. She's not going to be a player that's going to be making a humongous impact as a rookie. So this is more of a player down the road in the next couple of years. You want to see her develop, get stronger, get more physical. But if she's gonna play this year, then yeah, she's a very. I mean, I saw early on that she was a stash type pick, but it seems like she's not a stash type pick anymore. That she's gonna come play. So we'll see about. Now here's the one that most people don't have any clue about. Ajsa Sivka. She is a Slovenian. She's 6'3" forward. I mean, heck, she's listed as a point forward or power forward, depending on where you look at. She's a decent player overseas. Nothing spectacular. Shoots the ball at probably a mid 40s range, or you got to see anywhere between 38.9 and 48%, depending on when she plays. So in France BWL, she averaged 47. She was a 47% shooter from two, 33% from three. For her European Championship Slovenian team in 6 games, she shot under 40% and under 30 from three. And then in the Euro Cup in 8 games, she shot 44.4 from two and 42% from three. Um, People compare her to Leonie Fibic. If you get a Leonie Fibic out of her, then that's a big get. But again, you have no idea. Like we just don't know. Um, I don't have a lot to say about her. If she is Leonie Fibic, then she is a player that you would draft in the first round because Fibic has been a great surprise to people. Had a really, really great year last year with the New York Liberty. So that's a great comparison. That's a great compliment, in my opinion. She's a young player. I mean, she's only 19 years old as well. She is obviously not Dominique Malonga in terms of size at 6'6", but we'll see. Aneesah Morrow, man, at LSU, geez, she is one of those players that, oh my God, if she was only 6'3", 6'4", like, think about the fact that she's 6'1", maybe, average 18.7 and 13.5 a game this year. This is a career 20.5 and 12.3 rebounds per game at 6'1". She played at DePaul for 2 years. She played at LSU for 2 years. She has been doing this since she was at DePaul. Like, people don't understand. At DePaul, she was a savage. She averaged 22 and 14 her freshman year. She led the country in rebounding as a freshman at 13.8 rebounds per game. Think about that. 6'1" freshman. Savage. Second team All-American as a freshman. Then her sophomore year, she averaged 25.7 and 12.2 rebounds. She led the conference in rebounding. She transfers to LSU. I tell you, don't really know why. I don't know the history on this one. I don't think her game benefited going to LSU. She, took less shots, I guess, I don't know. She's not a shooter. She's not a shooter. She is a mid-range to post player, and that's the problem. She averaged 16.4 as a junior, and 10 rebounds. And this is playing next to Angel Reese. She still averaged 10 rebounds a game playing next to Angel Reese. And then her senior year this year, she averaged 18.7 and 13.5 boards. She led the country in rebounding again. Again, this is a 6'1" power forward. She's a guard. She's a guard. She shot 49% this year. She shot 47% in her career. Shooting wise from three, she can't. She stinks. She's a terrible shooter from the perimeter. Um, she's that player, man, where you sit here and you say, God damn it, she was 6'4". If she's 6'4", she's the number one pick in the draft. If she's 6'4", she's the number one pick in the draft. This draft. This is another conversation you have to have with yourself as a team. Do you think that what she did in college can translate to the WNBA? Do you think it can? If you think it can, you draft her. If you don't, then she slides in the draft. She's a first round pick, but if you think that what she can do in the what she did in college at LSU, she can translate. It's what I mean by that is you think she can be a monster on the glass like she was at LSU, then she's draftable real high. She's a player that makes an immediate impact. She's a 4-year player. She could have gone to school for another year. Again, I don't know the exact rules on the grad player situation. If that's the COVID year for them, I think that might be the COVID year for them. She could have used the COVID year, not been forced to transfer out. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on that. I love how hard this girl plays. She's aggressive. She's tough. She's strong. And yes, pronounce her fucking name properly. Aneesah. Aneesah. There's no Sha in there. I don't blame that girl for getting mad at that press conference when you've been covering that team all fucking year. When you know damn well that she's one of the best players in the country, second team All American, and you're gonna call her Aneesah, like a Sha. Where's the SH? It's SAH. Like, come on, dude. Like, come on. I don't blame her one bit for having that attitude about that. I would have been pissed off too. I agree with her. Big fan of hers. I wish she was taller. Just wish she was taller. Te-Hina PaoPao out of South Carolina. Here's another player that you're sitting here saying, 5-year player. She played in 153 college basketball games and she started 152. She went to Oregon for 3 years, started 19 games out of the 19 she played. She averaged 10 points there as a freshman. She started 22 out of 23 as a sophomore, averaged 13.6. She started all 35 as a junior, averaged 13 points. Comes to South Carolina as a senior, starts all 37. They win the national championship. She led the country in three-point shooting at 46.8%, 11 points per game. And then this season, she started all 39 games and averaged 9.4. Her game has regressed. I don't know if you blame it on Dawn Staley or what, but even her shooting this year went way down. She shot almost 40% as a freshman from three. She shot 30% as a sophomore, then went up to 42.4, then 46.8. But this year, just not the level of shooting that they needed to have a chance to win a championship. She's an okay player. Did Dawn Staley ruin her career? I don't know. Like that's the issue going to South Carolina, man. You know, it benefited her as a senior. She probably should have left last year. She probably would have been better off, but more well served turning pro last season. Maybe she's not a first round pick, but maybe she ends up in a better situation for herself. She's a projected first round pick, man, or early second round pick, and I just don't see it. Unless she's in the right situation. She needs some. She's not a creator. She doesn't take a ton of shots. She's a player that's going to spot up and shoot the rock. That's it. That's her job. Spot up, shoot the rock, play some defense. And again, this is not a game changer, but this is where I go back to. This draft is really hella thin because if this was an NBA draft and you have a player like this player is going in the second round, which is like pick number 35. So type thing, But yeah, that's all I got for Te-Hina PaoPao. Now we look at Sania Rivers out of NC State. She's a 4-year player. She played her freshman year at South Carolina, played 27 games, averaged 2 points per game, didn't start. She spent 1 year under Dawn Staley and transferred to NC State, where she played 31 games, averaged 8.6. And then the last 2 seasons, she's been a full-time starter, playing all 35 and starting all 35 in both of the last 2 seasons, where she averaged 12.5 and then 11.9 this past season. She's a volume player, not very efficient. That she shoots for her career in college under 40% from the field. She can't shoot from the perimeter. I don't even know I don't even know why she would have turned pro. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. She should have gone back to school. She's not a good shooter. She's not a player that I would sniff in the first round. Just inefficient. Inefficient. If you're this inefficient at the collegiate level, How the fuck are you being invited to the draft, bro? Like, this is craziness. Again, this is how thin this draft is, and there are draft boards that have her going in the first round. Wouldn't be my pick. Not with this type of performance and production. She should have gone back to school for a fifth year. She should have taken advantage of that COVID year and gone back to school if it was available to her. Now we look at Madison Scott out of Ole Miss. Madison Scott played 5 years at Ole Miss. She averaged 11.8 points her senior year. She averaged 11.1 for her career. She started pretty much her entire career at Ole Miss from her freshman year. She played 24 games as a freshman, started 20. She played in 155 games, started 149. She was a player at Ole Miss her entire career, but she was just, I don't know, man, efficient guard, but just like, when you talk about people, like, she's like, if you're talking about a guy, she's just a guy. So for her, she's just a girl. She should smile. That might help her a little bit, like look inviting. Like, this is not a mugshot. That's the picture they use. So that's the only thing that they got. She shoots 49.3%. She only takes 8.5 shots a game for her career. She cannot shoot from the perimeter. She's a terrible perimeter shooter. Shoots 21% from three. She doesn't take threes. And she's only 6'1". She's a 6'1" forward, again, undersized forward. Yeah, again, I'm gonna stick to what I've been saying. This is not a first round type of pick if you have a good draft. It just isn't. 5 years, and this is what you got: 12 points and 5 rebounds. Sorry, it doesn't. It might work in college. It does not work in the WNBA. Now, Shyanne Sellers out of Maryland is an interesting prospect because she's a 4-year player. She's 6'2". She's a big guard. She's defensively a headache for people because of her length and athletic ability. She gets downhill, drive into the hole. She averaged 14.4 on 46% shooting and 40.08% from three. So she's a pretty decent shooter from the perimeter. That's what's going to continue to have to get better for her because she was earlier in her career. She's in the low 30s. Average 3.8 rebounds and 4.1 assists this year. Last year, she averaged 5.5 assists. She's a good defensive player. She is a physical presence. She's a she's almost a combo. She's almost a combo type of guard because she's 6'2". She's a big guard, good passer, good rebounder for a guard. You know, she just has to improve on the perimeter shooting. That's really what it comes down to. She's a player that she's a player that realistically could be a higher pick to me. She played with Angel Reese at Maryland when they were freshmen, when she was a freshman, actually. So interested to see, because Reese was a sophomore, interested to see where she ends up because she's the type of player that could make a difference for someone immediately in this draft. She's one of the more draft ready players in this draft, in my opinion. Like draft you and you're going to play. You might not start, but you're going to play. So that will do it for the breakdown of the players. Now let's talk about where I would draft them. Where I would draft them, I mean, it's a combination of where I would draft them, where I think they're going to get drafted. Number one is Paige Bueckers, already done with. She's going to go to Dallas. She's the number one pick in the draft. Number two is Dominique Malonga. She's going to go number 2. 6'6". She's going to play this year. Again, I think she'll get broken off. I think she'll get her back broken playing against people like A'ja Wilson right now. Like, I think she'll get her ass kicked. But I don't think she's going to be asked to come out and play a lot of minutes. She'll play probably 5-10 minutes in a game. She'll come off the bench. She's on a team that has some experienced vets at the front line with Nneka Ogwumike, and then you also have a great lead guard in Skylar Diggins Smith. Ezi Magbogor is a 6'4" center. She's a 5-year vet. She can learn a lot from her as well. I think there's a lot of things that she can learn from and not have to be forced into jumping in and having to be somebody immediately. So I think it makes sense for Seattle because she's going to play. If it was a stash situation, I'm not with that draft and stash shit. I hate that shit. I hated that when they used to do it in the NBA. They don't really do that shit anymore in the NBA. They don't. Now you move into number 3. Number 3, you got Washington. Washington has 3, 4, and 6. So let's talk about this. At number 3, and I'm doing this my way. This is how I roll. I'm drafting the player I think is the best player. When you got 3, 4, and 6, you're going to draft 3 and 4, whatever which way you want. But I'm drafting in the order of which I think that player can make the biggest impact right now. And number 3, I'm taking Shyanne Sellers. She's my number 3 pick out of Maryland. You're in Washington Metro. She's at Maryland. She might have a fan base that can also go to games, and so continue to support her. She's a plug player. She's 6'2", as we talked about. They have no one on that roster that's remotely close to this. When you look at their players, they got Brittany Sykes. She's 5'9". You got that's it, man. That's it. Jay Melbourne is 5'10". She's no. You got Suggs Sutton, no. Bruh, this is the play. Like, you got rid of your best, your best, scoring guard, Ariel Atkins, who you traded over to Chicago, and yeah, to me, this is the easiest decision of them all. Is Shyanne Sellers. She is a need. She is a fit. She is a plug and play. You can put her right in, and she's ready to go. That is my opinion right there. Shyanne Sellers is my number 3 pick overall to the Washington Mystics. At number 4, I'm going to go with Kiki Iriafen. Kiki Iriafen 6'3". They have a pretty good players on their front line with Stephanie Dolson, 6'5". You have Leah Edwards, 6'3". You also have Shakira Austin, who's 6'5". So you have 3 established players on the front line. Kiki Iriafen does not have to come in immediately and be a playmaker, a scorer. She can learn the ropes from some older vets. I think it makes sense for them. They can groom her. Now, Aaliyah Edwards is still a young player herself. I think there are times where you can see, I think we saw a little bit of Aaliyah Edwards being able to shoot the ball in Unrivaled, that we didn't know existed. And if you have Kiki Iriafen out there, you could run a lineup with Shakira Austin, Iriafen, and Edwards, and let Edwards play on the wing. I think that's a reasonable possibility. And then you have out there with her, you got Shyanne Sellers, and then you have Brittany Sykes playing guard as well. They don't have a real legitimate point guard per se. I think you could be running Brittany Sykes at point, and you got a big ass front line. You have a big ass lineup. 6'2", 6'2" at the 2, 6'3" at the 3, 6'3" at the 4, and 6'5" in the middle. That's a big lineup. It's a tough matchup for teams. So I like Kiki Iriafen at number 4. With the 5th pick in this year's WNBA Draft, the Golden State Valkyries select out of LSU, Aneesah Morrow. Aneesah Morrow is someone that they could use immediately. They're not going to have a good year at Golden State. Let's be real. This roster is obviously very, very thin. Aneesah Morrow is going to be able to come in and play the position she plays. She's not going to be forced out of position. She's going to be able to play a big power, a small forward spot. She's going to be. They're going to let her dog. They need a dog, man. They need to let a dog be a dog and dominate the boards. Let her cook, man. Let her dominate the boards. Let her do her thing. It's a team that whatever. You go look at their roster. There's no one here that jumps out to you. They got Feck Bentley. She ain't a dog. You got Kayla Thornton's kind of a dog, kind of similar to Morrow, but not nearly the level of skill. You got Tiffany Hayes, Kate Martin, Monique Billings. I like Aneesah Morrow going to the Golden State Valkyries at number 5. My next pick is a little bit conflicting because I'm back and forth on a couple of players. I really like for fit. Again, this is for fit specifically. I really like Serena Sundell for Washington at number 6. They don't really have a point guard. Brittany Sykes is a combo. She's not a point guard. She's a combo. She's a 5'9" realistically. So when I look at that number, at that position, that situation, and I'm looking at their roster, There's no real point guard. And Sundell, she provides at 6'2" point guard, bro. That's a big point guard, right? Led the country in assists, used to playing with low post players at Kansas State. You have a big front line with Edwards and Shakira Austin and the like. Stephanie Dawson. You add in potentially Kiki Iriafen. You have a big front line. It makes sense. See, this is where this is what it makes sense. Will Washington do it though? They might look for a shooter, and that's obviously Sonia Citron. They don't have a ton of shooting on this team. Looking at their roster right now, it is not a big time shooting team. Dawson might be their best shooter on the team. They got Carly Samuelson, they got Emily Engstler, Brittany Sykes, Jade Melbourne. I mean, she might be their best shooter. Dawson might legitimately be their best shooter on this team. So it's like a toss-up because I don't think they got a point guard. And wouldn't you want to have a point guard that averages 7.3 assists, led the country in assists? I mean, you think about that. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know what mine are. Citron is a good defensive player as well. She fits playing the three. I don't know, man. I don't know. This one's a tough one for me. I think I would take Sundell. I think they're going to take Citron. So I'm going to put in Citron. I think they'll take Citron. They got 3 of the top 6 picks. I think one of those picks will be Citron. Like I said, these are interchangeable. I'm picking in the order of which I would pick based on the player that I think is the best fit and the best player. And I don't think Citron's better than Sellers. And I don't think Citron, the third best player on her college team, is better than Sellers or Iriafen. So at number 6, I'm going Sonia Citron. The next 2 picks belong to Connecticut at 7 and 8, and again, interchangeable. This is where I think Connecticut can change the future of their season. Because if you look at their roster is, you got Marina Mabry, you got an old Tina Charles, you got Lindsay Allen, you got JC Sheldon, who's still in her second year. We don't know what she can really do. She didn't play enough she didn't get the proper opportunity probably in Dallas. Diamond DeShields. And then a lot of players that have no numbers, a lot of players that did not play. So, yeah, what are you to do here? I mean, I don't think a lot of these players are going to be even going to be on their roster personally. I would take at number 7. I would take you want a spark plug. You want someone to put the ball in the hole, and to me that is you're gonna have to bite the bullet and go and not have a tall player who plays the 2. But I'm going to Aziaha James at number 7 for Connecticut. She is a spark plug. She is someone that can put the ball in the hole. She will help with scoring. She averaged almost 18 a game this past year with NC State. Fast, quick, the whole 9. She has that ability to come in and she can make a difference for them, I believe, and help them be competitive. Because I don't think they're gonna be good, but competitive. So I'm going Aziaha James at number 7. Let's just jump into number 8. At number 8, I would now go with Serena Sundell. They have a Lindsay Allen at point guard. I'm going Sundell. I want to have a legitimate point. Someone that I can grow with this team. I like her at point. She's a big point guard. It makes sense, man. Just my feeling on it. She can help make players around her better, and that's my thought there. No one else I've seen have I have not seen another draft that has her up that high in the draft. I've seen uh I've seen one draft that has her going. Where is she going here? Yeah, I haven't seen the draft that has her going as high as that, but I mean that's me. I see one draft that has her going number 18. I'm gonna check a couple others. So I found that I found a few other mock drafts. One has her going number 9 to the Sparks. One has her going number 11 to the Lynx. One has her going number 12 to the Wings. So, I mean, I'm pretty much in line. I think she's a player that you can help a team, immediately in terms of helping develop. They're not going to be a good team, but I think you need a point guard to start it off. So, looking at number 9 with the Los Angeles Sparks, Hailey Van Lith is the pick. I think she fits. Her skill set fits. She can come in and be a backup to Kelsey Plum. She can learn from Kelsey Plum. She is the same size as Kelsey Plum. It all makes sense to put her in that situation. She is a very marketable player as well. I mean, she's one of the most marketable players in the country. I mean, hell, she has a swimsuit issue. She's in the SI swimsuit issue right now, for Christ's sakes. She is very, very marketable. LA fits. LA fits her style. LA fits the fact that she's in play. I mean, she's also isn't Kelsey Plum left-handed also, if I'm not mistaken. Like you got both these players, and Hailey Van Lith is left-handed as far as yeah, Hailey Van Lith's left-handed, right? So yeah, I think it makes sense, man. I think that's a pick that, and she really changed her, she changed her life with this season. Um, I think the Sparks fit, and I think it's a match made in heaven for her. The Las Vegas Aces would otherwise pick at number 10 or whatever. Let me see. Is that right? Is that 10? They would be picking, I'm sorry, at 11. But they have no pick, so I'm sorry, I forgot. I forgot Chicago Sky. Chicago Sky are number 10. The Chicago Sky. What the hell does a Sky need, man? I got one draft here picking Sania Feagin. That might be the worst possible pick at number 10. Like, I don't know what ESPN has Sania Feagin going to the Chicago Sky. You mean a team that has Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese? You want to draft her at? Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. You must be crazy. Like, bro, that ain't going to work. That does not work for me. I think that's a horrible decision if they were to go that direction. I'm looking at some other mock drafts that have, I mean, one has, this is the one that I'm probably going to agree with. USA Today and The Athletic, um, they need this badly. They can't shoot. There's not shooting on that team. And I think Te-Hina PaoPao fits that mold for the Chicago Sky out of South Carolina. Like, I don't know that she's a first round pick in another year, but because of her skill set, her ability to shoot from the perimeter, I think PaoPao is a fit for that crew. Um, she's going to have open looks. If they play properly, she will have open looks a lot. And I think Te-Hina PaoPao fits the Chicago Sky and what they need on that roster. They damn sure need a freaking 6'3", 6'4" power forward. Like, that's just crazy. Who thinks this shit up? At number 11 to the Minnesota Lynx, I've got Sarah Ashlee Barker out of Bama. Average 18 points a game. She shoots over 51%, 37.5% from three. I think she's a good fit for the Minnesota Lynx and the way they play. She can shoot from the perimeter, which I think will be big for them. They were in the WNBA finals. I mean, this is a team that was this close. I mean, an awful non-travel call on Brianna Stewart from winning the WNBA championship. I think she's that style of player. They have shooters everywhere. She fits. I think she's a person that would slide right in. She could be plug and play. She may not play a lot, but she fits what they're doing. I mean, there are other players that I'm looking at. I just don't see I don't see a fit for players like, maybe they look at the Ajsa Sivka, young woman from Slovenia, because she won't play really much at all either. Could they look at a point guard? Maybe. I'm not too sure of that. So I like Sarah Ashlee Barker from Bama going to Minnesota. And with the 12th pick in the WNBA draft to end the first round, we are looking at the Dallas Wings. I will tell you this. I have no idea. I got no idea, man. I'm being real. I have no idea. I think if Serena Sundell's available, I know I drafted her already to Connecticut. I think if Serena Sundell's available, she's their pick, and I don't even think it's a question. I think she's their pick. Um, However, I don't think she's available. I don't think she's available. So, but I could be wrong. We'll see. It's funny. I'm looking at this draft board. I didn't realize that some of these players that are doing Kelsey Plum's draft camp next week. It's next weekend. I didn't know that these. I thought all these players were going back to school. 3 of them are going to the draft. How dangerous is that? You're going to do a camp? I mean, what are they thinking about? They're going to do a camp, but that's what they're doing. I mean, Harmony Turner at Harvard is going to be in this camp as well, along with Georgia Amoore and so I think I think Shyanne Sellers is on this thing. I think a bunch of these players on this team. Like, well, a little bit odd to me. No, I'm dragging this one on a little bit here. By the way, one of these mock drafts, just for you Indiana fans, has Lucy Olson going to the Fever at number 33. Just so you know, I'm sending Georgia Amoore to Dallas. She's a 5'6" point guard. I think the situation fits her best because she'll play point. She won't have to shoot. She won't have to be the focal point of the offense. She won't start, but she could come off the bench, be a spark plug for them. Um, Maybe she does start. Who the hell knows, man? It's the WNBA, bro. But I like Georgia Amoore going to Dallas. Again, those are my picks. If you didn't hear what I had to say when I said what I said, I got Paige Bueckers going number 1 to Dallas, Dominique Malonga 2 to Seattle, Shyanne Sellers number 3 to Washington, number 4 to Washington, Kiki Iriafen, number 5 to Golden State, Aneesah Morrow, number 6 to Washington, Sonia Citron, number 7 to Connecticut, Aziaha James, number 8 to Connecticut, Serena Sundell, number 9 to the Los Angeles Sparks, Hailey Van Lith, number 10 to Chicago Sky, Te-Hina PaoPao, number 11 to Minnesota, Sarah Ashlee Barker, and number 12 to round out the draft, Georgia Amoore to Dallas. That is my draft. That is my mock draft. It probably won't match what these teams do because I don't think these teams most of them run like shit. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. You know who I am. You know how I roll. That's what it is. That is the Rudy's Rant, her game, her way, women's basketball podcast mock draft. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, follow, hit the bell. I went 1 hour and 2 minutes on this bad boy. You better watch the whole damn thing. I'm out. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Come on now.